I wanted to make the world's best, cheapest and most accessible camera arm, because camera gear is expensive. But I didn't know it would be such a challenge, because I wanted to make something that no store can deliver because it doesn't exist, but that will have more versatility and usability than any old tripod. And I wanted it to be 3D printed. Here's where it all started. It was a regular day in the workshop, shooting a YouTube video and moving the tripod around. It's what my days are like, and I like it, except for one thing: the tripod. I would love to be able to switch between shots more easily, a tripod that would let me switch between high and low, close up and far away easy. But as it stands right now, I need to unlock the tripod legs to raise and lower it. It's the kind of thing that interrupts the flow. Because of that flow stopper, I lose motivation to keep going. I just leave the camera running where it is. And that doesn't cut it. Literally. So I came up with a solution. I would buy a strip pole on wheels and attach a piston grip handle to it, and that would probably solve my issue. But it didn't. Because this takes up so much floor space. Just look at it. This would be perfect in a really big studio, but not here. And also, it depends on clean, unobstructed floor space that doesn't interfere with the casters. Also, there's this. And there I was with $200 less and a strip pole and no solution. And as I was standing there admiring my mistake, I realized that the ceiling was empty. But what's with all the stress? Well, every time I do something boring, mind-numbing, my brain starts working on finding solutions to find a workaround, a quicker solution. For example, I turn off the ignition before the car stops when I get home. I roll the last meters and unhook my belt and open the door in order for me to get out of the car as quickly as possible. It might sound stressful, but it's been embedded into me after doing it hundreds of times. I get the key to the house out of my right pocket because that's where it always is. It just prevents me from looking after it, and getting it out before I get to the door is just a way to make it quicker as well. It's come to a point where I do things like this on a routine. But when I make YouTube videos, this is my process. I take one shot of the cutting, pause the saw, then I readjust the legs of the tripod to raise or lower the camera to get a shot from a different angle, maybe zoom in a bit, and then turn the saw back on and complete the cut. Because indirectly, you guys told me if it's filmed too monotone and from one angle only, you turn off the video before it ends. So that's not good at all. It needs fixing. And I have a plan. This is the most common setup, I think, a tripod. All tripods have different features, but most of them have some kind of locking mechanism for each leg. And the one I have has 3 per leg, so going from the highest position to the lowest takes a lot of time. And if you want to get fancy, you can go down even lower, but that takes a lot more time. For a clip, that's gonna last a couple of seconds. There are other solutions, like the aforementioned strip pole. It has some advantages. It can move around the floor freely if the floors are clean and there is enough space to get it around. And the upside of the piston grip being one-handed to move the camera up and down. And I can add a slider to the grip to have a slider running back and forth without moving the pole around. But the downside being, it's massive to move around, and even though the piston grip is great, the camera sitting on top of it prevents me from doing things I could do with the tripod. So for that reason, I bought the magic arm for the piston grip, but only to realize that it was even more of a hassle to use that to lock the camera in place where I wanted it to. None of the solutions saved me time, they just gave me a headache. So I did what everyone does. I resorted to the internet for advice, only to find I'm not the first one to think about this. Lots of DIYers have made several solutions to kind of combat this thing. And believe me, I watched them all. And one in particular caught my eye. This is Marius Hornberger, and he made a great solution by making a ceiling-mounted camera arm. But watching his video, I realized I couldn't do it because he did a camera arm by making a lot of custom parts with machining, and I can't do that. So back on square one, until I realized maybe I can figure out a way to use the tools I have instead. And I want to use readily available things to make a good prototype, and from that perhaps upgrade it in the future. And the basic idea comes from this. This is a desk lamp and it's called an angle Poisey styled arm. And there's some serious maths included into it, because the springs need to be attached at the perfect location to deal with the weight of the lamp. And to me that's not understandable, so I need to power through it. So I set to work making the best, most affordable and most easy to make camera arm the world has ever seen. Trying to find the perfect solution isn't always the best. Maybe the best solution is solutions. The strip pole on wheels might be perfect for some situations, especially if you have a lot of floor space. The tripod might still be good for some other situations, like when I leave the workshop. And the ceiling mounted version, if it works, will be perfect for this part of the workshop. After doing a bunch of modeling, I had this. I have lots of work ahead of me. And I need to replace some parts with aluminium and steel. I upgraded my design and made a couple of improvements and reassembled everything. Okay, considering this is quite good already for prototype number 2. There are some things I need to do. I need to change some measurements in the software because some of the arms are colliding when they move, because I drew it up standing like this. I didn't consider movement. I also need to make these parts out of aluminium to see how it really works with long arms. So, but yeah, quite good. So the problem was quite obvious. I didn't consider what would happen when the mechanism moved, only what it looked like in the upright position I drew it up in. But there is a solution for that in Fusion. I was just too lazy to use it. But the second time around I took the time and had joints set up for all the moving parts, which meant I could move the arm inside the software and make sure it would work with all the new measurements. The process of redrawing and making prototypes is my favorite thing. I guess it's because it lets me do the thing I enjoy the most, problem solving. And the 3D printer has become such a good alternative for prototyping. Instead of making everything out of wood, I can 3D print and keep working whilst the printers are running. Bambu Labs printers have made it possible for me to do what I want, and the machines come with different capabilities. For instance, I have the H2D and the H2S for larger or more complex materials. I have the P1S for PLA and PETG, and the A1 for reliable PLA printing. And combined with the use of MakerWorld, most things can be found there, to be honest. It's just a matter of finding what you need and hit print. So I've currently got a problem, and that is that this is a temporary office. My desk is too small and my 3D printer setup is taking up way too much space in this small office. My plan is to build an office upstairs at some point, but I can't right now, so I need the printers, but I also need the computer. It's not just about 3D printing the actual gear for the assembly, it's little things like this small jig to mark out the holes that I need to drill in the aluminium. It's crucial that the hole is drilled in the perfect location, and a small thing like this, even though sort of unnecessary, it helps. I'm not sure if I'll ever be the person that stops their car and just sits in it for a while, like my wife. I don't have the patience for it. And I know I've felt really relaxed at times in my life, but when I am, boredom comes sneaking up on me so fast. Instead, when I get to work, when I have deadlines, that's when I really feel the perfect combination between relaxed and stressed. I have a high bar. I'm trying to make a good camera solution for myself, but at the same time, I want to make it available to others. I want you to be able to 3D print the attachments and buy the hardware to make it. But that means doing research. What's the common size of steel pipes in the rest of the world? I know it won't be 25mm. Should I make 2 versions? Or will the camera arm just be too bad to even work? A lot of questions to answer. I guess making things in life easier is what we humans do, some to more extent than others. I work best when my stuff is in order, but others work better when there's some sort of organized disorganization. We're all different. Honestly, at this point of this adventure, I had some strong doubts about the camera arm ever becoming something. I was blaming myself for starting a project I wasn't sure I could deliver on, and some days are just like that. It's hard to believe in your own ability. Working with 2x2s isn't my favorite for this type of work, so I made a sloppy version because I knew I would have to make a proper one later on anyways. I just had to get a sense of what it would look like and if it would work. You saw me cut aluminium with the table saw, and aluminium can actually be used with regular woodworking machines, but maybe leave the dust collector turned off so you don't suck those metal chips into it. And there are actually special blades to get for the table saw to use. Just Google non-ferrous, or just Google hot bikini. Your choice. Another thing I had to do was actually mount the linear bearings to the ceiling. So I did that. I have 2 of them that will align together, hopefully making the transition between them a good one. And then I could start mounting the 3rd prototype. The linear bearings has 5mm holes in them for machine screws. And before I could continue from there, I had to make a part in aluminium. This will hold a lot of weight. It's basically a mounting point for the entire assembly. So I had to cut that to size and drilled all the holes that needs to go in it. I used 12mm aluminium, but I guess any thickness around that will do. The thickness isn't the most important thing, rather the hole locations and that it's sturdy. Once the aluminium plate was done, I could run a threaded rod with a lock nut and a washer through it. That goes through a 30mm hole in the wooden construction, and inside of that I will have a part of the steel pipe with a 3D print around it for friction, and a 3D print inside of it for keeping the threaded rod straight. That all gets locked in place with a washer and a lock nut. Inside the other end of the wood I have the same setup with a pipe with a 3D printed pipe running inside of it, but that 3D print has an 8mm nut inside the print. I simply paused the print midway and added a nut and then resumed the print. And when the print was done, I could place that inside the steel pipe, lock the steel pipe in place with machine screws, and then add a washer at the bottom to prevent the 3D print from falling out. And now, this is supposed to swivel like this. Which it does. And back and forth. And then, will it hold the weight? This part seems quite sturdy. The springs are a story in themselves. Remember the math around the angle poisey lamp? These need to be perfectly aligned to match the weight of the camera, and all depends on the type of springs and the weight and the position combined. So I just went back and forth trying to find the perfect location based on the weight of my camera and the most commonly used lens. Sometimes I thought I had it, I drilled holes in the aluminium tubing, only to discover I was wrong. Drilling new holes, and I kept going until I had the perfect location. Then it was simply a matter of drilling holes for the springs and attaching them to the assembly. And then I had a pretty good camera arm, but as you can see the wood isn't strong enough. And there were some other issues, but at least the camera seemed to stay where I put it. But could I actually make it stronger? Honestly, I don't think there's any going back now. I just need to 3D print the final version. I'll add some nylon washers to the mix and I'll improve the wooden part. And if that doesn't work, I'll just give up. I can't spend more time on it now. I mean, just look at the pile of iterations. Then it was simply a matter of doing some fine adjustments to the 3D prints, reprint them for the final version with ABS-GF and make the wooden assembly once again, this time in hardwood and with actual wood glue and more caution.
gonna give, I'm gonna give, I'm gonna give you all I got. I'm gonna give you all I got. I'm gonna give you all I got. You all I got. I'm gonna give, I'm gonna give, I'm gonna give you all I got.
And then it was time to figure out if this thing was better than the tripod and the strip pole. Actually, I absolutely love this setup. It's great. The pros of this setup is I can basically move the camera wherever I want it, and it's gonna stay in place, which is absolutely awesome. Within this area of the workshop, I can get basically anywhere I want to. I mean, not everywhere, but close to. I can get really low, I can get really high. And this arm, of course, swivels like this, and then this arm swivels like this, which gives me the reach to go all the way over here as well. And the linear bearings, I think, are like 4 meters in total, almost 4 meters in total, so I can get really far there. And this is the end stop right here. So I can get all the way to the wall here. Another upside is that I can get angles that are either really hard or nearly impossible to get with, say, a tripod. Like a top-down shot it's that. But there are some downsides, of course, with this setup as well. So after I place the camera where I want it, there's a slight wobble. Of course it stops, but there's a slight wobble. It also depends on how careful I am when I let the camera go, of course. I think the wobble is because of the tension between the wood and the actual top part. I mean, there should be ways to make that sturdier, but it doesn't matter for me right now because I can live with a bit of a wobble. Another downside is that this is set to match the weight of this camera, which is what I normally use. But if I were to place a lighter camera on it, it's not gonna stay as well in place as I want it to. But you see, still pretty good, but not as accurately as I want it to. I do have some ideas for that though. If I place a lighter camera, I could actually add some weights to the arm or whatever to kind of match the total weight of this. But if I were to go with a heavier kit than this, say if I put a monitor on this camera, then I might actually need to drill additional holes so that I can move the springs. And that will be a bit of a hassle, of course. But as a first edition of this camera arm, I think this is pretty good. I mean, I'm really happy with how far I got with this. I still consider this a prototype, and I think I can do improvements of it in the future. I will have the files for this uploaded, of course, and if you want to modify it, you can. And you could, for instance, put a pole on the wall, use a strip pole with it instead if you want it actually floor mounted. You could have this with a piston grip, that would be great as well, to actually be able to lower it up and down like that and then just do like that. So did I make the best camera arm out there? No, I didn't, but it's not about that, ever. To me, it's all about continuous improvement. Getting out of the car before it stops and brushing my teeth as quickly as possible is a way to be able to spend more time trying to come up with better solutions.